Beth Show. The topic today is listen for a change. This is very rare in our society. Think about the last time that you were really listened to, truly, or that you truly listened. It's really a rare thing. But when we give attention, and I'm saying all this because it's good for our heart, it's good for our being, it's good for the other person, it's good for business, it's good for families, communication, relationships, it's good for everything. Listening is. And so listen for a change. Listen for a change is the topic today. Listening is attention, and attention is love. Very rarely given when we're not distracting, isn't it? Distracted or something like that, isn't it? There was a lady who said that, she had a major illness, and whenever she would speak about it to other people, they would inevitably turn it about them and say, oh, I had that happen to me once, or, something about, oh, I would feel this or that way. So she ended up feeling very lonely when she tried to tell people about her business because she couldn't hardly find anybody who would just listen and make it about her. All of a sudden they turned around, it was always about them. And that was good for me to hear because I have done that too. I've been sensitive since then, and I sometimes watch and see how soon does that person turn the conversation to be about them. Then I know the kind of the depth of relationship that I could have with that person. It's kind of a test if I notice that happening. And it's also been good for me to hear that because I reflect about how often I do the same thing. So I catch myself. Am I a true listener? How often do I make it about me instead of about them? Now, sometimes just listening means, just not doing anything, just being with the person. Sometimes it's just your presence and letting them finish what they want to say. There was a mother who was doing dishes one time, and she looked out the window and saw her neighbor cross the street sitting on the front porch. He was an elderly man, and he had just lost his wife. She saw her little boy sitting on his lap for quite a while. When the little boy came home, the mother asked him, "What were you doing?" And he said, "I was helping him cry." And all he did was just sit there. So sometimes that's all it takes is our presence, our invitation to let the person be, to be with them, to give them company. Or sometimes just be quiet until they finish describing whatever they wanted to describe. Sometimes we have falsely, wrongly associated not saying anything with being too tired to talk or not knowing, a helpful thing to say or anything like that. But really, that is not necessarily so. There can be, at the right times, a good value. You have to kind of feel that out again, but it has to be at the right time. Can be really a good value to listening. Now, asking a question or two can elicit more from the person. Like if somebody said, wow, I was almost hit by a car yesterday and I was really freaked out. And they stop and you could ask them a question, said, that really got to you, huh? And then that sort of opens up, that's active listening, reflecting back, wow, almost being hit by a car really shook you up, huh? And that opens the door for them to share more if they want to. Another thing is to ask them questions about what they just said, like wow, tell me more, what happened? What happened with that? And then they'll know that you want to hear more, because otherwise they might not want to venture out where they know it's not welcome. But just your listening or, eye expression or words can invite more from them. It's said that you've heard we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I should be listening twice as much as I speak. And I figure that I already know what I know. So if I walk away from an encounter with a person, I've done all the talking, I haven't learned anything, I haven't gained anything. But if I listen more than I speak, now I've learned something. Now I walk away with something, so I'm richer for doing that. There's a great book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And the gist of it for me that I got out of it was to be an active, good listener, ask interesting questions. For example, a friend of mine, Todd Smith, recommends asking people, first off, an easy one is, well, so where are you from originally? That's an easy one that people open up to. Or you could ask them about family, occupation, recreation, their dreams, their goals. Do you have a family? What do you do for a living? What do you like to do for fun? What goals do you have? And so those are also questions that you can ask. It helps in our lives in network marketing to open up the avenue for possibly doing business, but this has to come first, that connection, that listening. So I hope you got something out of this. If you did, I'd love to hear your takeaway below, or questions or comments or tips or stories. And thank you for sharing, because other people can be getting benefit from this too. And this is the Ask Beth Show. I will see you next time. Thank you for being here.